ladies, I welcome you to another video. Thank you guys for your support, your subscription, your like, your comment. I really appreciate you guys. Thank you for always supporting your girl. And if you're just coming across my video for the first time, please don't forget to subscribe, like, share, and drop a comment on the comment section and I'll reply you guys. So today we'll be drafting this beautiful two-piece set. So let's start by drafting the upper body. So I'm marking 1 inch for my zipper allowance. On this pattern paper, I'll be drafting the back bodies and the front bodies together. So after marking in my 1 inch, I'll rule it on a straight line. So right now I'm going to take my shoulder measurement, which is 8 inches. I'll mark. I'll go down by 1 inches for my shoulder slope. I'll mark my neck width. I'm using 4.5. I'll connect it to that 1 inch shoulder slope like this. So right now I'm going to impute my armhole measurements. I'm using 8 inches. So I'll mark 9 inches from the neck and connect it. I'm going to mark my shoulder, which is 8, so that I can connect it to that 1 inch slope to get my armhole line. So right now I'm going to impute my bust measurement, which is 11. I'll take the midpoint of the armhole line, which is 4. Then I'll connect it to that bust measurement with a curve ruler. So I'm going to go in by that midpoint by 1/2 inch. Then I'll connect it from the shoulder. This is the front armhole, while the other one is the back armhole. I told you I'll be drafting them together. So right now I'm taking my bust point measurement, the line, which is 12. Then my top length, which is 26. Draw a straight line across them. So right now I'm taking my waist measurement, which is 18.5. I'll draw a straight line across it. So I'm going to take my nipple to nipple measurement, which is 4.5. I'll mark it on the waistline, on the hip line, which is the full length, and on the bust point. Then I'll mark a straight line across them. On the hip line, I'm going up by 2 inches. That is where my dart is going to stop. I'm taking half inch for my dart. So I'm connecting it to the bust point, and down to that 2 inches I went upward from the hip. This dart is for the back bodies. For the front dart, you're going to go down by 1 inches from the bust point before connecting. That is for the front. So right now I'm going to take my body measurement. I've already taken my bust measurement, so I'm adding the 1 inches allowance now. So I'll take my waist measurement. I'll add the dart, which is 1 inches plus 1 inches allowance, 2. Then I'll take my hip measurement plus 1 inches allowance. Then I'll connect. So at that hip line, I'm going to go up by 2 inches. You can go higher than that, but I'm going up by 2 inches, so I'll just connect it with a curve rule because I don't want it to have that sharp edge. So if you're cutting it, if you want to cut the front bodies, you just fold in that zipper allowance, then cut the front before cutting the back. So I'm imputing my neck for the front and for the back. My neck depth for the front, I used 7 inches, and for the back, I used 8 inches. So I'm going to connect it like this. Please, if you're going to do the same as mine, don't forget to indicate your front and back. So right now we're going to draft the lower part, that's the pint. So I'm taking my hip measurement, which is 9 from my waist, then my crotch. To get your crotch, you divide your hip by 4. I'll draw a straight line across it, as across my crotch line and my hip line. So right now I'm taking my hip measurement, which is 45 divided by 4. Give me 11. I'll mark that on my crotch line, my hip and my waist line. Then I'll connect it on a straight line. You divide your laps measurement by 2 and mark that on the crotch, just the way I did. So you connect it to that straight line you marked. Watch the way I'm curving it. Sorry guys, I lost the clip where I marked all these lines, so I'm showing you guys. From that crotch line, you go in by half an inch, then you connect it to your hip. Then you mark the midpoint, that from the crotch down. You get the midpoint, then you mark. You take that same measurement, the half, mark it at the full length, then draw a straight line across it. Then you take your full length measurement and mark it, and do the same at the other side. Then you connect from that half inch downward. Then from your crotch downwards, you take your waist measurement and your dart, you connect it to your hip line. So right now I'm taking my darts for my pints. I went in by 4.5, which is my nipple to nipple measurement. So I went in also by half inch and connect it like this. So cut it out. So right now you're going to place the front on a pattern paper. As you can see, we didn't add any allowance to the front pattern. All the allowances will be added at the back pattern. So I went upward by 2 inches. I marked in my crotch line, my hip line. So at the crotch, I'm going out by 2.5. At the full length, I'm going out by 2 inches. At the hip, 2 inches. And at the waistline, I'm going out by 3.5 inches. Remember, at the waistline, I went up by 2 inches. So from that 3.5 inches, I'm going to connect it on a straight line to the crotch, the front crotch. Just watch the way I did it. Front crotch. Like so. So I'm going to take my curve now. From that 2.5 at the crotch, back crotch, down to that straight line I marked. Like so. So I'll mark a straight line from the crotch down to the 2 inches. And up by that 2 inches I marked up. So from the 2 inches upward, I'm going to connect it to the front like so. As you can see, this is very simple and straightforward. right now I'm cutting my sleeve. I just need a very short cap sleeve. So for my round arm, I'm marking 5.5, and for the length of the sleeve, I'm marking 7.5. So I'll connect it with my curve ruler. I didn't get the curve the way I wanted it, so I used my hand to curve it. So I'm going to cut out that. This is it. I used 3 yards of crepe fabric. So this is the front part of the pant, and this is the back part. So I cut 2 each of them, and this is the front part of the upper body, and I cut the facing and the back part of the upper body, and I also cut out the facing too. Place one of the back piece on one of the front piece and stitch in by 1/2 inch at the hip like so, and I'll do the same to the other side and bring it back for us to see. I'm done stitching. This is it. I did the same to the other side, so I'm going to place the front facing the front like so, the front crotch facing the front crotch, and I'll stitch in by 1/2 inch at the front crotch. I'm done stitching, and I sew in my darts at the front part and at the back part. So this is it. After sewing my front crotch, this is it. So right now I'm going to mark where I want the gathers to start from. I want it to start from my hip line, which is 9 inches. I'll just mark a straight line across it. The length of the gathers is 10 inches. You can make yours curve because I later made my curve like an N. I'll do the same thing to the other side. Take the measurement of how wide you want the gathers to be. Mine is 18. So I'm marking the same at the other side. So I cut out a very long straight fabric. The length is 60, while the wideness is 12. And you know I wanted it to be 10, so I'm going to fold in 1 inch at the upper part and at the lower part. So I cut out 4 of it. I'm going to join 2 to give me 120. The length is 60, so 2 of it will give me 120. I'm going to join it, then gather it to the 18. So this is after gathering and sewing it. This is it. So I'm going to fold it to the other part, that's the back crotch facing each other, and I'll take my waist measurement. So I got 19. So I'll go to the crotch, the down part of the crotch, and I'll mark half an inch. So whatever measurement you get at the upper part, the down part must be half an inch. So when curving it, you curve it down to the half inch, like so. So I'm going to sew it and bring it back for us to see. I'm done sewing. This is it. So right now I just open one side of the hip to take my round waist measurement for my band. I got 41, so I cut a long strip of fabric of 60. The width is 5 inches, so I ironed an ST to half of it, which is 2.5, and I folded half inch inward. So the other side without the ST is the one I'm going to place on the fabric like so, and sew in half an inch round. Then use the other part with ST to top stitch on it. I'm going to sew in a zip and bring it back for us to see. This is it after sewing in the zip and the band. So right now I'm going to sew the crotch, the front crotch and the back crotch. So I'm going to sew by half inch, then I'll fold it down by 1 inch, which we left as our allowance. So I'll bring it back. This is it. I'm through with our point. So let's move to the upper part. This is the upper part. I sew in the facing by half an inch. This is the back piece of it. I did the same thing, the facing by half inch. This is it. So I'm placing one side of the back piece to the other side. So I'll insert my zip. This is the front. I've taken in my darts, and I did the same to the back. I sew in my dart and attached my zip to it. So I'm going to place the front on the back. Sew across the shoulder with half inch and sew in. Then I'll bring it back for us to see. This is it after sewing. So this is it after sewing. So I'm going to hem the dart using a bias. Then I'll attach my sleeve. This is it after attaching my sleeve and sewing the down part of it. We are done with this video. Yay! thank you guys for always tuning in. Thank you for your love, your subscription, your support. Thank you guys for always supporting your girl. I really, really appreciate and I love you guys. And those of you that are just coming across my video, please don't forget to subscribe, share, turn on your notification bell so that you'll be notified each time I post a new video. Thank you guys so much. Bye bye.